What's going on, boys and girls? It's me, Ben DPB, with a brand new episode of Ben Meets, and today I've got a pretty damn big YouTuber on the line. It's, of course, the awesome JNO. How's it going, dude? You alright?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. A bit tired, so apologies if it takes me some time to answer questions. But we happen to do this after WrestleMania. Probably not the best time to do it, but
We'll be getting into WrestleMania, don't you? I'm looking forward to talking about that later on in the show. I'm going to get into it. Obviously, I know you've had a little bit of a fallout with Cleon, to name names. I mean, I'm happy to bleep that bit out if you want me to. It's not an issue at all.
no, this is your video. It's not that I never, because he made it sound like I didn't want him to know that the video I did was about him.
I mean, I'm going to say
Everyone knows.
I did ask him to come on the show. He refused. You know, I asked to have you two on together. I thought it'd be great for the fans and great for people who are fans of you both to have you two talk it out and get his side.
I think it would have been good. I think it would have been
But
good.
unfortunately, he didn't want to do it. He didn't want to do it, which is fine. I mean, I liked your Patreon video. I thought it was very, very funny. I liked your daughter in the Patreon video. I thought that was funny. Do you feel that I'm not going to say it's your duty, but do you feel that when you see people being unfairly harsh to other people, do you feel like you need to go in there and defend other people? Because I know you get rich on Twitch and whatnot, so when you saw that all happening, did you think, hang on, if you're going to take the piss out of my mate, I'm going to get involved? Or I mean, what was your reason for getting involved in the whole drama in the first place?
I'll be honest, I was going back and forth on making that video. I know there were times when I was adamant I was going to make it, and then there were other times I was like, do I really need to? I don't like staying silent when I feel like there's something being debated, but I also know that sometimes if you just jump in all guns blazing, you can make yourself come off worse than if you just sit back and don't say anything at all. I went back and forth on it, and the reason I ended up making it was because I thought it would be a really good video. It wasn't really to have a go at Cleon, although I clearly did have a go at him in the video. But I just thought, you know what, it's a topic that I am passionate about because I do have a Patreon myself. And also I watched all of Rich's video and I did not see anything wrong with it at all. And then the backlash I felt he was getting was just way out of proportion to the video he'd made. Now, that being said, Cleon has said since then that his comments weren't about Rich. The only thing I'd say about that is if that was the case, why, when it was all kicking off, did he not say, look, mate, I'm not actually talking about you. I'm talking about these other people. That's the only thing I'd say. And I stand by the video and I stand by the fact that I didn't put his name in it because he knew it was about him. Everyone involved in the community knew it was about him. And for those that didn't know it was about him, hopefully the video stands by itself. I didn't want to send people over to his channel or his Twitter to send any hate there. I'm not about affecting anyone's work on the internet. And I actually really enjoy his blogs that he used to do. I don't think his website's up at the moment. I think he's taken a break from that. But I actually really liked the stuff he's written, and I've read a lot of it. Like he's got I think on the Side Games forums, he's still got stuff up there, like the art of possession and the art of counter-attacking and stuff like that. And I really enjoyed it all. So it's not a knock on his work. It was just a knock on what he was saying on Twitter about YouTubers and about Patreon.
I know he threatened to quit the internet, shall we say, not too long ago. You know, he basically had enough of Sports Interactive not promoting people, and he sort of cut out, but he gradually started to come back. So I'm hoping it's just a case of he needs a little bit time away for him to come back. I'm hoping that's the case anyway, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'd agree. Like, as far as his insightfulness into the game, there's only maybe 2, 3, 4 other Football Manager bloggers that I would say come anywhere close to the stuff he's writing. And I'm kind of worried now I'm going to sound like I'm just completely backtracking on my whole video because I'm being quite nice about him now. But it was just about that topic. That video was about the Patreon thing and about the whole, how it seemed like he was having to go at FM YouTubers. But as far as his work goes, he is one of the best bloggers there was. I'm hoping he will continue, and I'll be reading his stuff. I mean, he's blocked me on Twitter now, so I won't necessarily get tweets notifying me about it, but hopefully someone else can tell me and I can see it there.
I don't think you're backtracking at all. I don't think there's any. I mean, there's guys on YouTube and there's guys in the FM community that I don't particularly like personally, but I'm still a fan of their content. Just because you like someone personally doesn't mean you can't be a fan of the content that they do. Do you know what I mean? I don't see that being an issue at all. Like I said, your Patreon video is one of your more popular, if not maybe the most popular video you've done in terms of viewership on the channel. So I'm glad to see that still there. I think my thinking was at the time that maybe in all the excitement, should we say, when it first came out, they might have got deleted, or you might have just thought, you know what, I'm going to remove this, it ain't worth the drama. But I'm glad to see that you stuck to your guns, because a lot of guys would have done. They'd have deleted it or made it private so it can never be seen again. So I'm glad to see that you've left it out there for other people to go back and view should they wish to.
Well, see, for me, it's probably one of the videos I'm most proud of. Not because I'm going after someone, but I feel like the creative process behind a video like that is more than, say, the process behind doing a gaming video. If people watch my Fantasy Premier League stuff, there's a lot more preparation on that, but a lot of that is statistics and views on the game. This was like a full-on creative process where I had to know what points I was going to go with. I did the whole intro bit to take the mick out of YouTubers being money-grabbing YouTubers. So it was quite a lot of creative process behind it. So no matter what happened afterwards, I was actually quite proud of the video. 2, I feel like, again, it's one of those factors where I'm showing that I'm human. Like, even if there was a massive backlash on that video, it wouldn't have been taken down, because that is my view and that is who I am in a situation like that. So yeah, the video won't go anywhere. Just like one of my I think it's West Ham, but it may have been the FC Wimbledon saves. One of my episodes, I'm clearly tipsier than I thought I was when I started, because I came home after having a few drinks and thought, I need to record now because I can't record tomorrow and then I won't have an episode for the day after. So I recorded, and then literally as I was recording, I realised when I was struggling to pronounce my words and even like collect my thoughts, I was like, clearly more affected by the alcohol than I thought I was. But that still went up as well, because I thought, you know what, just shows I'm someone trying to struggle through this world called YouTube, and I'm not perfect at all. So I just put it up anyway, and people seem to enjoy that one as well. But I think a lot of people like to laugh at people that are drunk. So,
do you have any plans, any more, shall we say, parody videos? Because we've seen Halves, or Full-Time FM, we've recorded, has them on his channel, and his ones are absolutely amazing. I have me his Football Manager, How to Be a Football Manager YouTube videos are just fucking hilarious. Do you know what I mean? And do you have any plans to maybe do any more parody videos, or whatever you want to call it, or is that just a one-off and you're done?
I would love to do more of them. The problem with those type of videos is you either have to know the topic you're going to be focusing on, and I think also with stuff like that, it's about timing as well. If you time a video like that at the right time about a certain topic, they can do very, very well. I just don't think I have the time, along with the other stuff, to do it as regularly as I'd like. Again, because the video, if I was going to try and do the same format, I'm not sure I'd be able to do it. Now, I think with Halves, and I love his stuff, I think because he's not, well, I think he did in his most recent one, because he wasn't appearing on camera, he could kind of, I'm assuming, plan what he was saying and then edit it, which is kind of similar to recording yourself doing an episode of something and then editing it. Whereas with the one about Patreon, I had to like go in this room and film this, and then go in that room and film this angle and that angle. And there are a lot of takes for some of that stuff, and I just picked the best take as well. So I don't think that kind of format is something that I can do right now. But in the future, if I ever get more time, get a job closer to home, then maybe I would do more of that kind of stuff. But if a subject comes up and I'm really passionate about it, I wouldn't be surprised if another one of those videos came up.
Well, fingers crossed we get some more drama coming soon then, eh?
Well, from what I've heard, there's some drama today, but I've not seen it.
Well, yeah, there's always drama, let's be honest. For a community that's so small, there's so much bloody drama, it's unreal. But I'm glad to hear that. I'm not glad, that's a lie. For once, should we say, I'm sticking out of it. I mean, normally I tend to get involved somewhere down the line, but I'm being more mature recently, and I'm staying out of the drama.
That's not fun. Depending on what it is, I may get involved. I don't know. I've not seen it yet.
I always get
But
involved, and I get a backlash of abuse from multiple keyboard warriors. But I've been good recently. People told me privately to stay out of any future dramas, and I've done it. I've done well. I've done well. Normally, I'm one of the first ones to get involved. And my issue with me is I'm not a follower, but for some reason, some of the guys that I've spoken to in the past gear me up, and I tend to dive head first in without thinking about what I'm going to say, just start rattling shit off and making things a hell of a lot worse than they need to be. I'm not going to name names as to who I've had dramas with. People probably know anyway, but I got involved in stuff that I never needed to be, so it's actually been quite interesting for me to sit back and see some of the drama unfolded out. I think the saving for me today was my phone got blocked. I basically got my PIN code like a donut, and my phone's been locked all day, so I missed the whole drama all day. Came home and I thought, fuck, if I'd had my phone, I probably would have got involved, accidentally retweeted or liked the save it, liked the comment. Next thing I know, it all kicks off again. But the community the community drama, I do enjoy it and makes things a little bit more interesting. I must say so myself.
I think when you get people that do videos on YouTube, I think to go in front of a camera and just film yourself playing a game or talking about certain subjects, you're going to get the type of people that are opinionated. So I think that is why you get so much drama, is because people that aren't opinionated and play it safe, they don't really do YouTube in my mind. So that's why I think you get a lot of it. Maybe it's less in other communities on YouTube, but I think that is why you often get it as far as FM YouTubers are concerned. That being said, I've never got it in FPL in their YouTube community, but again, it's a lot smaller. So literally, I can name on my two hands most of the FPL YouTubers. So, but yeah, I think that's the only thing. We're just all opinionated.
I think as well. I think unless you're a content creator, you're more than likely to probably miss out on most of the drama anyway, because I'd imagine there was drama before I came into YouTube a year ago, but just in the last year there's been so many arguments. And prior to doing YouTube, I followed a lot of these guys on Twitter, but I never noticed it. Whereas now I see so many back comments that if you're just a general fan, you may not realise it's a dig at someone else, or you may not realise that two people are, although they're pretending to be friends and banter, actually you can tell they really just don't like each other. Do you know what I mean? So
it's funny. I think it's a bit of both, though. I think sometimes people do just say something, and they're just saying an opinion, and it's not aimed at anyone. But then, just because the way we are now, they see someone else sees it and goes, "Oh, that must be about so and so," or "That must be about me." But I think also people play on it and say stuff like vaguely, so that when someone goes, "Oh, that's about me, isn't it?" they can go, "I never mentioned your name. No, just a general opinion." So yeah, I think it's a lot of games on Twitter, but I think that's what makes it fun. People can say what they want. That's what freedom of speech is. I like to think I don't get swayed by other people's opinions, but it's just the way of life. If there are enough people that you get on with saying one thing, you're probably going to go along with what they're saying, even if it's right or wrong. So yeah, but I think it's just, I like it.
I'm glad to see it's not just me. That's all I'm going to say. I'm glad to see it's not just me. It makes the evening when you're waiting for a video to render or to be uploaded a little bit more exciting, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
So, my man, you've obviously got two channels. So, you know, we've got your Fantasy Premier League channel and you've got your FM channel. Now, so I know initially your content was on your Premier League channel. Was there a specific reason to why you separated the two? I mean, it's quite a bold move to, you know, you were on like, what, 2,000 subscribers at the time? You know, you basically jumped ship, started a whole brand new channel. It's a pretty bold move, do you not think?
Well, I'll be honest, I've been doing YouTube for 3-4 years, but never really got anywhere until 2015 with my JNO United channel. Call it a very long 2-year learning curve without the drive to keep making videos. But no, JNO United, which is the Fantasy Premier League channel, was doing very well, but it never initially started as a Fantasy Premier League channel. It started as a channel that was meant to be about stuff I'm interested in, which involves Fantasy Premier League, involves Football Manager, involves all sorts of things. but it was the Fantasy Premier League that took off because it's quite a niche on YouTube. So not many people were doing it, and I happened to drop a video on Fantasy Premier League a day after it was released. So I got lots of views on my first video on the channel. So it evolved into a football channel, but it was very, very clear that most views were on my Fantasy Premier League videos. I had a period last year when Fantasy Premier League started again where I managed to gain over 1,000 subscribers in a month, a massive growth spurt in just a month period. And then after that, it just stagnated, doing Football Manager mainly and Fantasy Premier League. But it was very obvious the people that had subscribed to that channel wanted Fantasy Premier League. They didn't really want the Football Manager stuff. That is why I decided to split them, because there was no growth on my channel anymore. So I still wanted to do Football Manager. So I thought, you know what, it's not going to actually take more work to just upload to 2 different channels. So I went and created JNOFM, and it's done decently well for a new channel. It's only been up since January, and we're at 250 odd subscribers. And the growth came back on JNO United, the Fantasy Premier League channel, and we're at 2,400-ish now. So the growth came back again on that channel. Yeah, I just felt they needed separation, because I think when you're a smaller YouTuber, you need your channels to be very clear what their purpose is. You need someone to click on it and go, okay, this is a Fantasy Premier League channel, or okay, this is a Football Manager channel. That being said, I have now gone and done Walking Dead on my Football Manager channel, but I just thought, you know what, I like playing other games, so a few videos on the weekend probably isn't going to hurt too much, as long as I still do plenty of Football Manager videos.
I think The Walking Dead is such an awesome game. I love the Telltale series, so I am absolutely over the moon that you're doing the Telltale series. And I think is it the second season you're doing of The Walking Dead, if memory serves me correct?
Third season.
The third series, sorry, apologies. Love that game. I've actually got all 3 series, and I've got the Michonne series as well. But I've actually played them. I'm just not finding the time to actually get onto the computer and play them, because they're lengthy games to play. You can't just sit down really for 15-20 minutes and get a little game, and I find you have to play the whole episode in one go. It's just the way I play it anyway.
Yeah, I'll be honest, it's helped that I've decided to do it for the channel, because if I don't decide to do it for the channel, then it's really hard to get time to just sit down and play. So most of my time gaming is making videos. So by allowing myself to upload the video, it gives me time to actually play the game as well.
I mean, are you enjoying the Walking Dead series and the game, or how are you finding it?
Oh, I loved it. I loved the first one, loved the second one. When I wasn't doing as much YouTube and I could dedicate the time to it, I love any game where you're kind of playing a role where your actions affect, like, say, the narrative of the game. So that is why I like Football Manager, because your actions, your transfers, your team building, your tactics all affect how well you do in the game.
I mean, at the moment on your FM channel, Walking Dead aside, you've got 2 saves. You've got your West Ham World and you've got your AFC Wimbledon save. How did those 2 saves come about? Why did you choose those 2 specifically, and how the hell do you manage to do 2 saves at once? I struggle doing 1 save. So how the hell do you manage 2?
First, the West Ham World came over from JNO United. I'd started it on the Fantasy Premier League channel when it was just a mixture of all football kind of stuff, and I didn't want to just stop it. I was about 9-10 episodes in, and I dedicated time to it, so I wanted to carry it on. But I also wanted to start something new for the new channel as well, which is why the AFC Wimbledon Return to Glory came in as well.
I've tried to do 2 saves before, and I couldn't do it. Like I said, I struggled to get 2 episodes out a week, let alone doing 2 saves at the same time. But it was something that I did try to do myself. I tried to do TNS save along with a Napoli save, and my Napoli save was the overly popular one. So I ended up sacking off the TNS save and just purely focus on Napoli. Now with my Luton Town save, I don't even get time to play the game offline when I want to get on the computer to enjoy it. So I do miss having multiple saves on the go, because before YouTube, I played Football Manager with multiple saves. That's how I played the game. I'd have a couple of saves going on at once, much like you've got now. I mean, do you have any other offline saves, or is the 2 saves enough for you?
I'll be honest, I do have other saves, The only one I'd say I'm playing just purely for enjoyment, but could potentially be a series down the road, like if I decide to try and do it again, is my Arsenal save. And the whole purpose of me playing that is to try and get the Invincible season. I actually, first season, managed to get 17 wins or draws in a row in the Premiership, undefeated for 17 games. And I was like, this, I could do it first season. And then, yeah, I didn't even win the league. So, so it kind of tailed off. Yeah, I have that save purely for when both of my games that I put on the YouTube channel, if they're both at the right recording spot for the next episode, but I'm waiting for a video to render or to upload, I'll just open up my Arsenal save while I'm waiting for other stuff to happen.
In regards to your recording back catalogue, do you have many episodes in the back burner, or you just record on a day-by-day basis, or do you have some games stored up?
Yeah, my plan was always to get ahead, and I've been trying to get ahead since January, and I'm only ever maybe 3 or 4 videos ahead, maybe 1 or 2 videos per series ahead at max. Right now, I've got Tuesday and Wednesday's episodes either rendered and ready to upload or half edited, and I have The Walking Dead still to edit as well. So I'm never that far ahead, but I seem to manage to keep to the schedule. But I would love to be as far ahead as I hear that some of the other guys are.
I mean, I've said it before, some guys get so far ahead, it amazes me, it really does.
Get so much stuff wrong in when I'm recording. The amount of stuff I cut out. Some stuff I leave in if it's funny, but I mean, I get tongue twisted quite easily.
I'm the same. Me and the Northman had when our episode, there was so much that I cut out, just me and him talking shit, and it's hilarious. I mean, I left in the start bit when me and him are just shooting the shit of each other, and it's one of the funniest clips I've seen on YouTube. I don't know how long. We're just me and him talking about how we're gonna make his channel look fake and put golden goal FMs on there instead, 'cause he's got 45,000 subscribers. But it's just funny when you're talking. I mean, I watched my episodes back, and it takes me 6 attempts to do an intro. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm not looking at the camera, or I'm looking at something completely off, or my wife comes downstairs halfway through. So it takes me forever. A 15-minute video actually lasts about 35 minutes of how long it takes me to get the episode done. So it's good to hear that I'm not alone.
What I'd say is sometimes leaving that stuff in makes you seem more human to people watching. I think it's just like, at the end of the day, we are just people that do this as a hobby for now. Who knows what's in the future, but I feel like it lets people know the struggles you go through, and I want people to see that this isn't just, oh, I sit down, I record it in one take, just render it straight away and upload it. I want people to see, like, the fact my wife's knocking on the door and she sheepishly comes in because she wants to tell me something. And like, I feel like sometimes you can just leave that in. It just makes you seem more human and not just this person that turns up and just talks to people on camera perfectly in first take.
No, I like it. I like your thinking, dude. And I might just steal that idea myself, just to let you know.
Go for it.
Now, so you've got your West Ham save and your AFC Wimbledon save. Now, in terms of your Football Manager history on YouTube, what's your favourite save that you've done?
For YouTube, it probably would have to be PSV Patrol, which was back on the JNO United channel. It was the first one, because initially I thought I wouldn't have time to do a proper Football Manager save. The very first thing I did was a network game with Dave Azzopardi and Kurtjoy, who is better known on the FPL side of YouTube, but he loves Football Manager as well. And I was West Brom in that, and that was a lot of fun, but it was just hard getting everyone together at the same time, and we never ended up finishing the first season, which was annoying because I was actually 4th with West Brom, while the rest of them were struggling. So I begged Kurt for that save, and I still haven't got it because I just wanted to see if I could get Champions League with West Brom.
I said there's a conspiracy there.
Yeah, I think they were just like, he's doing too well, let's take it away from him. So I then did Evolving England save, because I thought, you know what, England isn't that time intensive to manage on Football Manager. I can get through years quite quickly, and the goal, of course, was to win a major tournament with England. But I spoke to Dave, who was one of the main people I was speaking with in the Football Manager community at the time, and he'd started doing quite regular videos because at the time he wasn't doing it every single day, and he wasn't doing face cam, and he was just recording the audio in with the gameplay, and it was easier to edit and get it out quite quickly. And then as you keep doing it, you get better and better at editing. And now I can edit a Football Manager video in about 20 minutes. So I think it's just that evolution of eventually you get to the point where you can do something that quickly. But PSV Patrol was probably my favourite save because it's the one that really got me into being consistent with my uploads, and I of course enjoyed it. Fortunately, it was relatively successful. I won the league every single year, but I just couldn't get anywhere in the Champs League.
Well, your West Ham team is pretty damn good, let's be honest. I'm not going to lie, Joe, compared to my little town save, for example, or compared to other things, your West Ham save is pretty good. I mean, in terms of your current crop of West Ham guys, who's your favourite player as we speak?
It's got to be Marco van Ginkel, just ahead of Martin Samuelsson, who has left us, unfortunately, for Monaco. But I brought in Van Ginkel in the first season where I wasn't doing too well. In fact, at a point, it looked like they might sack me. And then I had a really good tail end to the season. And it coincided with when Van Ginkel came in. And he's just been so consistent.
I mean, you got one of my favourite players in FM17, Klaassen, in there. I mean, Klaassen,
he's very good. My problem is I've got Lanzini as well.
I know.
And I feel like I've got a lot of good attacking players, but they just don't. Although Klaassen has started performing very consistently now, he didn't initially. And I've got like Draxler as well, and it seems like they take turns to be like in form, while the rest of them just go, okay, it's your turn now. I'm just gonna relax for a bit. The only real disappointment is Luan.
I mean, I have got offline save. I don't really play it, but I had like what I called an elite journeyman. The aim was to start at Ajax and try and make my way to the top of the football pyramid.
Yeah.
And my first season at Ajax, I was predicted third, won the Eredivisie, and I signed Van Ginkel on loan. And I've actually signed him on loan again for my second season. But David Klaassen would have been an absolute revelation for me, and my entire Ajax team's trying to be poached by everyone, so I do have a real bit of a love for David Klaassen, so I was pretty chuffed to see you sign him.
Yeah, I think he's one of those that he will do a good job at pretty much any club.
He's just solid.
You could even sign him.
He's solid
yeah,
around,
you could sign him at the biggest clubs in the world, and yeah, he's not gonna like oust any of the top players at the top clubs, but you can rely on him. He's just a great overall player.
So we spoke about The Walking Dead, so we know you're a Walking Dead fan. Do you remember what your first ever console was?
I know I had a Nintendo, the classic, and then I think my cousin lived with us for a while, and he brought in the Sega Mega Drive. And like at the time, like to me, the jump from Nintendo to Sega Mega Drive, I was just like, this is revolutionary. And then, but I then kind of went to uni and just stuck with computers just because I didn't want to be carrying around too much stuff because you're always moving from one place to another each year. So I got into the role-playing community at that point, and I wrote loads. I used to write freaking novels. But then when I got out of uni, got an Xbox. All my friends were playing Xbox. It wasn't a case of which one I thought was better. It was my friends were on Xbox, so I'm going to get the Xbox.
That's exactly how I got an Xbox, because my friends all had it, so I thought I'd get it as well.
Yeah, everyone's saying now, why do you have an Xbox? The PlayStation has better graphics, blah blah blah. All my friends have Xbox, so that is the only reason. Because for me, playing games with my friends on Xbox is more fun than playing any game by myself, because you get all the banter as well as playing like FIFA Pro Clubs. So when I'm actually on my Xbox now, unless it's recording something like The Walking Dead, it's just playing games that are multiplayer games with my friends. I mean, I've got Peggle. I play Peggle so much, and it's not really the type of game that you'd probably associate someone like me playing, but it's a game you can just sit there and not really focus on and just talk to your mates while you're playing. So that is why I've got the Xbox console. And then of course Football Manager. It went out of my life for a little bit, but it's came back about 2013, 2014, and I've not stopped playing it since it came back into my life.
You said earlier on that you also played role-playing games. Was that like World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy?
No, it was literally just writing. Just a bunch of people getting together, creating a whole new world out of scratch, not connected to any other world made by other people.
Really?
And just writing, yeah.
I mean, I've never.
It's funny because there's
heard
so many
that.
parts of the internet.
How does that work? I mean, I've never heard. How does that work? What does that entail?
To make the easiest comparison for people to understand now, because I don't think it's as big as it was back then, when there wasn't as many games and like role-playing games for people to all be in one world together.
Yeah.
But one version of a role-playing world would be a wrestling federation, and you'd just get like 50 people all getting together and just writing their own wrestling shows. We'd all have a character, we'd all have storylines, and the others wouldn't know each other's storylines unless you were involved with the other person. So me and person A would do a storyline together, person B and person C would do their own storyline, and then all of the stuff would get put into one show which everyone could read. So you'd know what your bit was, but then the rest of the show you'd read and wouldn't have a clue what was going on.
Right.
And then you might bring other people in and all that kind of stuff. So then you could take that to like a medieval world where these people are part of this house, these people are part of this house, and they're at war, so on and so forth. So it was just like people creating a world together and creating a story, a narrative together. And then you'd have people that just read it. They never wrote anything, but they'd be fans of certain people's communities and would just, like people watch YouTube videos now and watch everyone's release, these people would watch this group of role players, they'd read their story.
Do you have any plans to bring any other games to your channel?
Well, I do love all Telltale games. Games like the Game of Thrones one I thought was really good. They had The Wolf Among Us I thought was really good.
That game was absolutely superb.
I think the problem with Telltale games is people have this perception that they should, if it's something like that, be shooting loads of zombies, and it should be a shoot 'em game and everything like that. And then they get it and it's like clicking this option and that option. But what I'd compare it to is something like Mass Effect or what's the other game that BioWare made that's similar, Dragon Age, where you kind of have those story arc options which you affect, but then you kind of cut down on the other stuff, and it's more just, I'd approach it like it's a movie that you kind of control some of the major choices in, and I can get lost in a game like that. I literally, coming up this weekend, you literally see my shock when something happens in one of the Walking Dead episodes I'm going to be putting up, and afterwards when I watched it back I was like, wow, I was really affected by that. So that is why I love they're great storytellers, and they make you feel like you have more control over it than you probably actually do.
Do you have, obviously Football Manager aside, do you have a favourite game that you're currently playing or you'd like to be playing because you don't find the time? What sort of game do you enjoy playing the most?
Well, right now, if I'm playing and it's not for a YouTube video, it's most likely going to be FIFA, because that's what all my mates play. I'm not into Ultimate Team much anymore. I was when it first came out, but I just think they've not really done anything to make it worthwhile, and they're just making it too expensive to properly play it, or too time consuming. Career mode, just when you play something like Football Manager, FIFA career mode just gets a bit dull a bit too quickly. So literally I buy FIFA every year just for the pro clubs mode, pretty much. And I wish they'd just do more with it, because they could do so much more. They have improved it this year, but they could do so much more with it. I wish I could be playing Mass Effect Andromeda. I absolutely loved Mass Effect 1, 2 and 3, but I just can't see myself getting the time to properly dedicate to it, because I love Dragon Age as well, but the most recent Dragon Age, I can't find the time to sit down for long enough to play it, and then when I do come back to it, I've completely forgotten what I've been previously doing. So I now have to try and catch up with the game. It takes me a good hour or two to figure out where I'm meant to be going, and it's just a bit like, well, I'd rather just be able to sit down and carry on playing straight away, and you can only really do that when you've got the time to play it, go work, next day come back, play it, go work, all that kind of stuff. And I don't really have that time anymore. So, but that's my choice for trying to become a YouTuber.
It's a busy life, eh?
I think when you've got a kid as well, it's just hard to fit a game. It's
suck,
that time intensive.
Children suck. I mean, I've got kids myself, and they suck. They take all the fun out of our lives.
Well, that's the good thing about Football Manager, though, is it Football Manager is a game where you can play it, leave it for a month. You could come back into a save. It won't take you too long to figure out what you were doing.
Yeah.
Because you just have to look at your squad, look at your position in the league, look at the training you were doing. It doesn't take too long to go, okay, this is what I was trying to do. Whereas games that are just that time intensive and like a bit open world map, you just get lost. I pick up Dragon Age now, or the save I had. I don't even remember what character I was building because there's different powers and such. And I'm looking at the powers and I'm sure I had a plan, but I've completely forgotten it now.
I mean, obviously, going back to YouTube, when you look at yourself as a content creator, if you had to pick something you were good at and something you maybe weren't so good at, what do you think?
I think my main issue is I will get to a point where I'm just pumping out content, just because I feel like this is what I've said I was doing, so I keep doing it. I'm very prone to just getting to that point where I'm just in that like robotic mode, just going, all right, do a video, and then every now and again I have to catch myself and go, no, you should be making a good video. Try and think of some way to make it more interesting, more exciting. So while I do have videos I'm very proud of, there are some videos I put out that I'm just like, I really wasn't feeling it that day. But because I'm saying doing 5 Football Manager videos every week, I just sat down and did a video. So that's my problem. Before I even start, I should just maybe psych myself up, maybe plan something. So that's the thing I'd say I'm weakest at. The thing I'd say I'm good at, I believe I've got to the point now with the software that I'm using that I'm very efficient with my editing. Like I can do it all very quickly. I also think I do every now and again stop and evaluate every single series I do and try and make it better. Other than that, I do like to think that I can be funny, but I think I do try and hold it back sometimes. Like that Patreon video I did, I think I just fully went for it and just committed to doing all of it. Whereas I think sometimes I'm a bit worried what people will think, and I shouldn't be. I'm just making videos. There's not that many people viewing, well, depending on which channel I'm doing a video for, there's not that many people watching. And I should just kind of be myself.
So do you feel your personality on YouTube is a little bit more restrained as to what you like in real life then?
It's a bit of both, really. I think certain ways I'm probably more animated. When I first started doing Football Manager videos, people said to me, oh, you should react more excited when your team score. And I'm like, yeah, that would make sense. But when someone tells me good news in real life, I'm the type of guy that goes, oh, that's good. And like in a really calm manner.
You don't go,
yeah, I don't. It's just not me. Whereas like I make myself in a way do that now. And I suppose it does also matter how much I'm bothered about it on the day that I'm recording. But like when something shocks me or makes me jump, then I can't hide it. I get scared quite easily. If you look far enough back, there's some YouTube videos of me playing scary games, and I'm a massive scaredy cat when it comes to scary games. So I'd say there's a bit of both. Sometimes I'm reining myself in. Like, to be honest, I try not to swear on my videos, but in real life I swear a lot. But I think also there's sometimes when I'm making my personality more animated, but I would never say it's not me. It's just me trying to find the version of myself that's best suited for YouTube. One of the ways of making yourself seem like an accessible channel or brand is by having that human side. So I don't think everyone should pretend they're perfect, because that's perfect's boring.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the guys that I've spoken to have all said that they create a character for their channel. I mean, it's not something that I do. I don't have a character. I play FM as me, you know, because I'm not an actor.
Yeah.
I mean, so I've recorded episodes before I've tried to be a character or a more dramatic version of myself, and I've watched it back and thought that looks so fucking false. It's unreal. And I think if I was to watch that as a fan, I'd be like, this guy's being a prick. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't even watch it. When I watch guys on YouTube and you can tell they're being more dramatic than they need to be, or being more dramatic than you know they're actually like, to me it instantly puts me off. So that's the way I reflect YouTube. That's the way I am in real life. You know, I'm not somebody who, like you just said, who goes yeah every time I score a goal. Sometimes you'll see that I'll barely react to a goal because, you know, unless it's
important. But it depends on how important that.
I was just gonna say if it was an important game where I'm fighting for promotion or fighting for the playoffs, then great. But if I'm just playing Milton Keynes Dons and I'm beating them 1-0, I'm not going to be jumping off my seat going, oh my god, that's amazing. Like
if I'm playing Milton Keynes Dons and I score a goal, I am going crazy.
So Jane, obviously I know you're a football fan due to your Fantasy Premier League page, obviously the fact you play Football Manager. I mean, do you have a particular team that you support?
In the Premiership, it would be West Ham, but that is because the FA, in their great knowledge or power or whatever you want to call it, decided to take my home club and move them to Milton Keynes. So my first club will always be AFC Wimbledon. I didn't watch them as much as maybe I should have when they first started, but that's because I wasn't living in the area. But AFC Wimbledon will always be the club closest to my heart, and then it's West Ham because of my wife supports them. And you know what? It'd be nice to support a team with your wife, watch games. Basically anything that meant I could put the TV on for a football game. And if West Ham are playing, I can go, babe, West Ham are playing, let's watch it. So, yeah.
Talking about England, what's your views on Southgate and how well he's doing? Are you happy with his squad selection? Or I
like the fact that he tried something new tactically.
Yeah.
Which I don't think you get much from English managers. I do feel like it was a bit too much of this has worked for like Conte, so I'll give it a go. But I have no problem with that team. I feel like England fans nowadays are still too expectant of our position in the footballing world. I mean, there was quite a bit of uproar about the likes of Michael Keane and Livermore playing recently in what was a friendly, and I'm like, give them a go. If they fit the tactical system, which will then maybe win us games that we wouldn't necessarily have won, then yeah, they should play. And I personally think Michael Keane's been a great defender this season for Burnley. I feel like England fans have always begged for managers to like not just look at the big club English players, but then when they do pick players that aren't in the big clubs, there's like, oh, why are you picking him for? I just feel like we need to, as a nation of fans, just accept the fact that we are not world beaters by any stretch of the imagination anymore. I'm hoping to get to the point where I can just vlog these trips to stadiums
and get free tickets.
Hopefully get a job with Copper 90.
Well, mate, if you carry on with your fantasy football Premier League, but you never know, dude. And I'm being genuine, you never know.
Well, that's it. Don't get me wrong. I've been approaching all these people trying to see if they need anyone for FPL stuff. Because imagine the door that would open if, say, Copper 90 went, okay, you can do an FPL show for us once a week, or say the FPL, the website, they actually have their own show with hosts on it. And I'm watching it thinking, okay, some of these hosts know what they're talking about. Some of them don't have a clue, and I could do a better job. So, you know, you're not going to get anything if you don't try. So I'm like trying to message these people that run this stuff, going, look,
have you had many responses at all?
No, not really, unfortunately. Not yet. I think I probably need the channel to be a bit bigger before it gets to that point. I think when you look at a channel and it's 2,400, you're like, okay, he's getting somewhere, but it's not like he's breaking down records or anything like that.
But you're getting the views, dude. Your views are like you're getting a couple of thousand views an episode on in and around that sort of number. So,
well, that's the thing. When I do the show in July, August, when everyone's excited about the Premiership coming back, and when everyone's searching for it, I was looking at about 5,000 views when I was only like 1,000 subscriber channel. So hopefully big things will happen again at the start of next season.
I mean, I'm one of those guys that the first sort of couple of weeks of the season, I proper push my fantasy football, and then I start to waver, and I just don't sort of bother after that. You know, I get the occasional email saying, "Do you want to do something?" I think, "Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I better dive back in and do it." But I don't really.
I'll be honest, I was like that for so long, and then World Cup 2014 came around, and I think that is the best way for people to properly get into the game is the World Cup and the European Championships, because it doesn't go on for as long. So you literally just focus on it for like 2 or 3 weeks. And I did it with mates, little what they're called, head-to-head leagues or classic leagues or friends leagues or whatever they're called. And it was on Dream Team, the Sun one, and I won. So I thought, oh, you know what, I'll give the Fantasy Premier League a go. And again, I won. I beat all my friends, and I got a decent ranking that year. And because I was doing well, you just keep doing it, don't you? And that's kind of the way with everything. If you're doing all right at it, but you're not top, you just keep going. And the first year I did it on YouTube, I was so worried I'd have a stinker of a year, because one of the main things to like back up your claims that you know what you're talking about is your rank in the game. And if your rank starts dropping, it's just people will look at your video and go, yeah, but you're not even in the top 10% of players or whatever. So fortunately for me, I've just kept my upward trend. And last year I was in the top 1% of players overall. When you consider there's 3.6 million people played it last year, that is good. And at the moment I'm in the top 0.5% of players, and just over 4 million are playing it this year. I'm not in the top 10k yet. That's my next goal. If I could just get in the top 10k, then of course hopefully keep improving. But when your rank is good, that is kind of like your advertisement to, like, if you're serious about this, watch my show. So hopefully, fingers crossed, I will keep my upward trend, because I'm doing quite well come the end of this season.
I mean, obviously, how much research goes into doing what you do? You know, obviously, I know is there a hell of a lot more work that goes into making one of your episodes and maybe a Foot Manager episode? Or because to me, when I watch episodes, it seems like a lot of fucking hard work. All the research that you do, your statistics, etc. I'm thinking, fuck me, this guy must work his ass off to get there.
That is the thing. Like, I know a lot of people got annoyed when it was all one channel and there'd be like 3 Football Manager videos a week and only 1 FPL video, but so much more work goes into that 1 FPL video, because it probably takes me about 2 hours of just like researching like all the stats. Then I have to make all the graphics, then I record it, then I edit it. And so it's more streamlined now than it was when I started, which is why it also probably looks a lot better and more professional now than when I started doing it. But I'd say roughly it takes about 3-4 hours from beginning to I'm starting to render the video.
Yeah.
And like this week, for instance, there's the weekend was a game week, Tuesday, Wednesday is a game week, and then Saturday, Sunday is another game week. There's no way I can get a video done in a day, especially after I've just watched WrestleMania, and still do what I need to do in my actual life. So unfortunately, I won't get a video out for the Tuesday, Wednesday games, and it's why after the major like interest starts to fade, I kind of have stopped and started doing one video a week, because it just takes up so much more time. I will, of course, when it comes back and it's everyone searching it, it's the best time for me to properly focus on doing it, because that is when I'll get the most exposure. But last year I did 30 days of FPL. I did 30 videos for every single day leading into the beginning of the Premier League season. That was so much work. And it didn't help that the Premier League site released the game later than they were meant to. And this year I might try and do it again, but now I've got the other channel commitment. Like when it was all one channel, the only plus side for me as far as work went is if I release an FPL video that day, I didn't have to release a Football Manager video.
Yeah.
Whereas now that they're separate channels and I have separate subscribers, I can't kind of say to the Football Manager subscribers, oh, I'm not doing a video today because I'm doing this FPL video on this other channel. Like they'll be like, I don't care about that. So that will probably be harder to do a thing as big as I did last year. But now that I am bigger, I probably don't have to do as much to get as much exposure. Then again, I could just start making videos for that period, like maybe a week after this season ends, just so I've got the catalogue ready to release. Because I could do videos about stuff that happened this year and kind of work it in that way, so I've got videos ready to release when it's all fresh and hot again at the beginning of the Premier League season. But yeah, you're right, it takes so much more work doing that kind of video. But I also think it's helped with my presentation of myself, which kind of then goes over towards the Football Manager videos, the Walking Dead videos, because all that is me talking about a game, but it's a game of numbers and stuff with just some graphics on the side of me. There is no game for them to focus on. They're listening to what I'm talking about. So I think that has really helped my progression as, I wouldn't call it a performer, but when you're making a video, you are kind of performing. You may be yourself, but you're trying to entertain while being yourself. So I think that has really helped me.
You pretty much just described Championship Manager. We start talking about a game of numbers. I see the things on the screen. You pretty much just described old school Championship Manager. Because that's pretty much what it was. The days before 3D match engines or match engines at all, it was just numbers on the screen and obviously the occasional rolling commentary. That was about it. I think people forget that, but to me, you just.
That's the thing. My dad has got left behind because he played Championship Manager all the time. And then when they started bringing in all the graphics and more menus and more different sections, he was looking at it going, I don't know what I'm doing anymore. So he's kind of given up on it, which is a shame because childhood memories of playing Hot Seat Championship Manager, where he'd sort out his team, he'd shout and go, yeah, Johnny, your go. And I'd go over, I'd sort out my team. And then we'd just play our games separately while we're doing other stuff in the weekend.
Yeah.
And then the games where we're playing each other's clubs it was like a massive affair. We'd have to tell my mum, look, don't interrupt us for like the next 15, 20 minutes. And trying to grab the mouse off of each other because we want to make substitutions and so on and so forth. So yeah, that's how I got into it, was Championship Manager, just playing it with my dad. It's one of those games which we could both get into. So it was great. I love Championship Manager, and I do love numbers. I clearly do because I talk about them so much on my other channel. But that is how you get to the point where you are one of the best players. You have to be looking at those numbers. You can watch one match of the day and the player looks great, but if they're not getting the chances, they're not going to be scoring goals. So if they're not getting the chances inside the box, they're less likely to score. So like, for instance, Coutinho has so many chances, but most of them from outside the box, apart from this season. So he was never the best player to pick. But if you ask most people, they're like, oh, Coutinho, he's a good player. He's a good choice. So I think that's the difference between people that get into it and do it for the whole season and players that kind of do it at the beginning and then they're just like, can't bother anymore.
Do you ever get people ask you to manage their team for them?
I do. That's the one thing I hate. And I'd no problem people asking me my opinion, but the fact of the matter is, with a game like Fantasy Premier League, you could have all the numbers to back up your decision, and then they just have a bad game, or they have a bad patch of form. Like, I can tell you who I think will do really well for the rest of this season, but that doesn't mean they will. So I'm giving my opinions, and generally my opinions and my decisions are good enough to be in the top 1% of players. But when I'm doing a show giving all these opinions, I am going to say stuff and then it's not going to come true. Like, I've often suggested going for players, not gone for them myself, and then people are like, you didn't pick him. You said he was a good choice. And yeah, because I just picked a different player. I only got one transfer a week. But I need to give you guys as much information as possible so you can pick your player. So while I'll quite happily say, yeah, go with this guy, go with that guy, that is my opinion, and it could turn out to be wrong for the rest of the season because you never know what's going to happen. Coutinho was amazing for a part of the season, and he went very quiet. And other players have been amazing for part of the season. Joshua King has come out of nowhere and scored loads of points recently, but then he got a blank the last game he played against Southampton. So it's all about trying to catch those bits of form. But people seem to forget that it's not like a Championship Manager where determination is a good attribute for a player. So go look for determination. I can't tell you this is the right player to look for. This is the right thing to look for. You kind of had to make that choice yourself and then hope. There's been plenty of weeks that I've not got good scores. But if I have more weeks where I've got good scores than weeks that I don't, I'm going to be one of the better players.
Well, you guys have been listening to me, Ben DPB. Thank you for listening to another episode of Ben Meets. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to Jane. Talking about the Fantasy Premier League, I found extremely interesting. I'm not going to lie to you. I didn't plan on getting into that, but we did, and I really enjoyed that, dude. So thank you for your insight into that. Do you want to give yourself a shout out of your social media and also both your YouTube channels and take it from there, dude?
Yeah, well, main one, seeing as we're on Ben DBP, Meets is the JNO FM channel. Football Manager Monday to Friday, as long as I can get the time to do it and work doesn't get in the way. And then it's Walking Dead at the moment, but we're going to try other games as well on the weekend. And maybe if we have time, drop a few more during the week as well. And then there is JNO United, which is my bigger channel at the moment, but who knows, it could change. That is Fantasy Premier League only. At the moment, it's one video a week, FPL Today. But, of course, when the season starts, there's a lot more action going on, a lot more choices to make. So there'll be more videos around the July-August period. So you can check both of those out. On Twitter, my Twitter handle is @JNO United. Go follow me on Twitter. I react to football games and other stuff as well, like WrestleMania and stuff like that, over the weekends.
Thank you very much, dude. Thank you for coming on, mate. It's really appreciated. I wanted to get you on because I'm a big fan of yours. I'm going to probably chuck you a couple of quid and get you to look after my Fantasy Premier League team for me, unless you want to do it for free. That'd be much appreciated because I haven't touched mine for weeks. I literally just done a couple of transfers the other day, but we'll talk about that later on. But anyway, you guys been listening to me, Ben DPB. Thank you all for your support. If you haven't already, smash that like button. Don't forget to head on over to JNO's channels, which I'm going to link in the description below. And don't forget, before we go, Diolch.